I have been told numerous times by my family that I am impossible to shop for, which I totally understand, because if someone is not as knowledgeable about photography as the person that they're trying to buy some type of photo or video gear for, well, it's very difficult for them to know what's good, what's not so good. And let's face it, photo and video gear can oftentimes be quite expensive as well. So in this video today, I'm going to share with you a few photography related things that I like, that I appreciate, that I enjoy, that all cost less than $100. So nothing in this video should hopefully break your wallet if you are shopping for some type of photo or video gear for that special someone in your life, or maybe even for yourself. And by the way, I've also written a blog post that contains more items than what I'm including in this video. So if you're looking for more, there's a link down below in the video description. So let's get started. Okay, first gift idea is the Kodak Ektar H35. Believe it or not, this is a real camera. I mean, at first it looks like a toy or some kind of disposable camera, but it is a reusable film camera. You can, load it up with film, use the camera over and over again. It actually has an integrated flash as well, and I'll cover up the viewfinder here and fire the flash. So yeah, it's got a flash. Now with this camera, you can use any 35mm film stock. I happen to have a fresh roll of Kodak Ektar 100 here. Now, by the way, there is no connection at all between Kodak Ektar film and the Kodak Ektar H35. Kodak just, I guess they were mining the past for, branding and naming ideas, but it's kind of weird, but whatever. So anyway, what's really interesting about this H35 is that this is actually a half frame camera. For every exposure on a 35mm roll, and this has 36 exposures, the Kodak Ektar H35 takes 2 images and it places them side by side. So you actually get 72 exposures with a roll of 35mm film, which opens up some really interesting creative opportunities with this camera, because when the 35mm film is developed and scanned, well, you could just keep one of the images and just crop it out in Photoshop if you only want one of them. Or you could purposely lean into that half frame format and take images with the intent of them being viewed side by side as a diptych, which is a pretty awesome way to tell a story. So anyway, again, it's only $50. So this is the kind of camera that someone could throw in their camera bag. They could bring with them on a trip if they're going on vacation, if they're traveling. And I think this is also the kind of camera that could very much appeal to younger people as well, like people who are just getting into photography, people who want to explore film photography and do something more than, take photos on their phone all the time and get kind of like that old, world camera feel. Pretty fun thing. The Kodak Ektar H35. Okay, next recommended item is one that I use over there on my desk all the time when I'm editing photos and videos, and that is the Logitech MX Master 3. Now, I have to tell you, I tried to get, some macro B-roll of this for this part of the video, and there's an opportunity that you have to shoot that kind of video when you first buy an item, when you unbox it and use it for the first time, because after a while, especially something like this, yeah, you definitely don't want to see, greasy fingerprints all over a mouse or anything. No. Anyway, so what is this thing? Well, this is a multi-button mouse, and it's not like a gamer mouse. It doesn't have buttons all over it. It only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the beautiful thing about these extra buttons is that you can program these with keyboard shortcuts for the applications that you use. For example, in Photoshop and Lightroom as well, I have these 2 buttons on the side here programmed for zooming in and zooming out. And I have this middle one here for just, viewing an image at its actual size. So if I'm zoomed in really close and, doing some detailed touch-ups on an image, I can just, click that button on the back, and then boom, I'm back out to its actual size, and it's fitted, and I'm then ready to continue editing. But the really magical thing about this mouse is if you do any kind of video editing or use any kind of application that has a horizontal timeline in it, there is a horizontal scroll wheel here on the side of the mouse. You can just scrub back and forth on the timeline super quick, way faster than using your keyboard or trying to grab a little scroll bar at the bottom of the panel with your mouse and drag it back and forth. No, so good for photo and video editing if you don't already have one. The Landmark Project makes really beautiful t-shirts, hats, beanies, calendars, all kinds of stuff that is inspired by national and state parks across the United States. And the thing that I really love about their shirts, let me just pull one out really quick, is that every one of their shirts always has, like really great illustrations, really great color, really great typography as well. Like a particular, being an old design nerd myself, like I love the typography of their shirts. This one here, of course, is from Zion, but they have plenty more from all other national parks as well. They also have some pretty awesome beanies and hats as well, including this one from Joshua Tree National Park, which I love. All the, the little Joshua Tree pattern that's on the hat here. Really cool stuff. And Smokey Bear. I don't know about you, but for me, growing up in the 1980s, Smokey Bear was as iconic as Mickey Mouse because on television there was always advertisements running with Smokey Bear kind of scaring kids half to death about burning down the woods and leaving campfires going and dropping matches and all kinds of stuff. He's an absolute icon.
I love the manly way you say, put out fires, put matches away. I think I love you, Smokey Bear.
What the hell?
They have sweatshirts, hoodies, I believe. They have coffee mugs. I know they also have a calendar as well that looks really nice. I'm not really into printed calendars, but if I was, I would totally get one of those. And what's nice is that the Landmark Project is donating 10% of all sales from their Smokey merch to the U.S. Forest Service in order to help fund wildfire prevention education, which is the cause, which is what Smokey Bear is all about. Okay, next up, some recommended accessories for anyone who is into mobile photography or video, which I guess is pretty much everyone these days. We're going to start here with the Peak Design Everyday Case. In my opinion, Peak Design makes some of the nicest phone cases out there, and this everyday case here has just a really nice polished look to it with this, matte black rubberized grip around the outside here. Nice and slim. It doesn't, it's not a particularly bulky feeling case. Now you'll also notice on the back of the case here, this little notch. This is something that Peak Design calls Slim Link. And this is something that allows the phone to be mounted and used with other Peak Design mobile photography and videography accessories, including this little accessory here makes it possible to mount a phone to a tripod or any GoPro compatible mount. Down here at the bottom of the Creator Kit, there is an Arca plate. And all you have to do is just pop it on like so. And the phone not only magnetically attaches to the back of the plate, but it's also clipped into place as well. So if I, pull on the phone is not coming off of this thing. So then to remove it, you just push in with these, little buttons here, push these in, and then you're able to lift the phone off, no problem. So you can use the phone horizontally like so if you're, doing a landscape photo or shooting some video this way. And you can also pop it off, flip the phone around, and then you can use it in a portrait orientation as well, which is good if you're doing stuff for social media, for TikTok, Instagram Reels, stories. Now this mount on the Creator Kit is only compatible with the everyday case. So you need the case in order to use the Creator Kit. The two are designed to go together. But what about the times in which you don't have a tripod or you don't have a GoPro mount and you just want to stabilize your phone? Well, for that, there is also this little accessory here, also made by Peak Design. This is the Peak Design Mobile Tripod. So this little thing is made entirely of metal. It's thin, it's about the size of a credit card, and it is compatible with any MagSafe case. You don't have to, use the Peak Design Everyday Case. You can use it with other cases as well. And actually, let me just swap the case in order to demonstrate it. Okay, so different MagSafe case, and as you can see, this little tripod just mounts right to the back of the phone. Then you fold the legs out like so, and you can use this as a stand, or you can also take this stand and split it apart into 3 individual legs, very similar to a tripod. And this has a little connection down here that allows you to, reposition and move the camera, or rather move the phone around and get it into just the right position that you want. And if you don't want to shoot vertically, you can also flip it around horizontally. Now the grip with this is not quite as strong as the Creator Kit because it mounts magnetically only. It does not have that additional notch that is cut into the back. So with a heavier phone like this 14 Pro Max here, you do have to kind of make sure that you're lining it up just right and getting it into just the right spot. But what I really like about this little mobile tripod is its portability, because it's small, it's lightweight. You can just throw this in your pocket or your bag and bring it along with you. And by the way, if you're looking for something similar to this, but for a DSLR or mirrorless camera, okay, so this is the Platypod or Platypod. I think it's Platypod because it's like a platypus bill, kinda. Anyway, so what is this thing? Well, this is, believe it or not, a tripod. It's basically just one large, thin, hunk of metal. Like there's no plastic in this at all. And you pull out a leg, and each leg has a spike at one end and a rubberized tip at the other. Very similar to like a tripod that would have both of these. Anyway, it's really clever. So if you want the rubberized part, you just, screw this in, like so. Or if you want the spike, well, you just come around from the other side and screw it in from the top of the plate. Then here in the middle of the Platypod is a 3/8 of an inch thread. And this is for mounting a ball head. Any ball head will work. Any ball head that you have, you just thread it right onto the plate here. And then you have a mini tripod for use outdoors, on the ground, or on a table. And I really like this thing. Honestly, I bought it on sale because I've always thought about buying one. I've always been curious about it. It could be the kind of thing that I use occasionally, be nice to have. Well, I've ended up using this quite often because this is so much faster when getting a camera down low on the ground or doing some kind of like tabletop shot than having to set up a tripod, then, lifting up the legs on a tripod and dropping the tripod down low on the ground, or trying to set up a tripod like around a table or whatever. This is so much faster. And this plate can hold a surprising amount of weight. I mean, I tested this out with my Canon R5 and a few different lenses. Performed perfectly fine without the camera tipping over. If you do use something a little bit heavier and longer, like a telephoto lens, you can do that, but you want to make sure that the telephoto lens is pointing this way or pointing this way. If you point it laterally across and it's a long lens, and it could tip over. But otherwise, it worked perfectly fine. So yeah, really cool little accessory. And I've actually read some reviews about this online where people have used this as a workaround to, places that don't allow tripods. They throw this in their camera bag and they use this as a tripod. I haven't actually tested that, but it's a pretty interesting use case for this, I think. So anyway, super cool accessory. Doesn't cost a whole lot. I really enjoy using mine. The Platypod. Okay, next recommended gift idea, the Apple AirTag. Now, it doesn't have to be an Apple AirTag. There are trackers that are made by other companies as well. But the reason these are so valuable to photographers, videographers, filmmakers is because we tend to carry around a fair amount of expensive camera gear, camera bodies, lenses, drones. And the last thing that I know I would want if I were traveling would be to lose the bag, to misplace the bag, to accidentally, leave it behind somewhere, or for someone to just pick it up and run off with it. By sticking a tracker like this AirTag in the bag, and by the way, some bags actually have some nice little discreet pockets in them. I actually reviewed a Peak Design bag recently here on my channel that had one that was perfect for AirTags like this. But even without one of those little pockets, you can just stick this anywhere inside of the bag to keep tabs on the bag wherever that bag may be at the current time. Now, I'm kind of, obsessive about it whenever I'm traveling, and I always keep my bag right next to me. I actually had someone try to steal a bag from me one time in a Paris metro station, which is like a story for another day. But anyway, these things are fantastic because then it's just an extra peace of mind. So where your bag is at all times. I love these AirTags. I actually bought a 4-pack of these, and I put one of these I have one in my checked luggage, which has my tripod and everything else in it. Then I always know where that bag is in case the airline misplaces it or who knows what happens. Love these AirTags. So if you know someone who doesn't have a tracker, AirTag or otherwise, really valuable thing to have just to, keep tabs on your gear. Okay, my next recommendation is for the landscape and outdoor photographers. A lot of times when you go out and do photography, especially early in the morning and sometimes late at night and sometimes in the dead of winter as well, it gets cold. So one of the things that, every landscape and outdoor photographer needs is a good set of photography gloves. Similar story to the mouse. Mine are a little chewed up, a little bit worn. I probably should have just, bought a new pair for this video, but whatever, what gloves are. So these gloves are made by Outdoor Research, and these are the kind of gloves that have the like the little rubberized tips up here at the top, or at least they did. Mine are a little bit worn off at this point. But, you know, these kinds of gloves are great because then you're able to, you know, touch any kind of touch screen. And that, of course, most obvious, you know, for your phone. But these are also great for using a touchscreen on the back of a camera. When you have to go into the menu system and you need to, you know, to change something, last thing I want to do is take off my gloves in order, you know, to do that. So having a good pair of photography gloves, really, really helpful thing to have. I'm going to look into this a little bit more, and I think there's some other photography gloves besides these that are out there. And if I find some that look interesting, that look good, I will link to them in that aforementioned blog post that I talked about a minute ago. Okay, so next gift idea for photographers under $100 would be this really awesome tool set made by SmallRig. I'm a big fan of this because it seems like whenever I travel, there's always something that gets like a little bit loose. Like either it's, you know, like an arca plate on the bottom of my camera, or, you know, like one of the legs of my tripod, something like that. But with this, I don't have to worry about that because I just throw this in my camera bag and it has every single tool that I could ever need. It has 3 hex wrenches on this side here. It has another one on this side, plus a Phillips and a standard screwdriver here. And with all of these together, anytime something gets loose, I can just pull this out, tighten it up. It's one of those things that, you know, when you need it, you really do need it. Great stocking stuffer. And by the way, it does come with a nice little carrying case here. Nice little padded case, slips inside like so. And then you can just pack this up and travel with it. So I have a few more recommended gift ideas for under $100, and if you would like to check those out, in addition to everything else that I talked about in this video, there is a blog post linked down below in the video description. Speaking of down there, if you enjoyed this video, please take a moment and give this video a thumbs up, and if you would like to do this again in the future, take a moment and subscribe as well. Thanks so much, everyone, and I'll see you next time.